On Thursday, July the 2nd, 1992, the Galway Advertiser had a front-page story headlined, "Clear the Streets." In it, a group of Galway business people called for a ban on drinking in the streets, to combat what they said was the destruction of Galway by winos, crusties, and so-called dropouts. As a result of this complaint, Galway Corporation removed stone seats which had been in place in Cross Street for 18 months. These were seen as a congregation point for winos, and their removal was an attempt to deal with the problem so-called vagrants were said to have been causing shopkeepers and their customers. On July the 9th, the Galway Observer reported that the Galway city traders had called for radical measures to outlaw drinking in the streets of Galway completely, and also to control busking by registration.
Whose idea is it to...
Taking them out?
Yeah.
I'll say it's the people complaining.
Yeah?
I'm not sure. Like.
Or was it the corporation? I mean, is this corporation work? Are you working for the corporation? Yeah.
Who are you?
I'm working for independent filmmaker.
Oh.
Yeah. We're making a film about the changing scene of Galway.
Oh.
What do you think? What were the complaints about, do you think?
The winos were used to me.
Yeah. That was it.
They weren't moving.
Yeah. What do you think yourself about?
Well, we obey orders.
Yeah.
I don't want to see them going.
This is the story as printed in the Galway Advertiser on July the 2nd, entitled "Clear the Streets." At this stage, the seats had been removed.
A local trader says, "We are now paying the price for welcoming everybody into our city for the last few years. If something is not done soon, the place will be destroyed." He also said, "We want street drinking banned. The winos are sending crusties into off-licenses to get drink for them and having it on the street. We want people who are drunk to be removed. We want begging outlawed, action to be taken on exposure and public urinating, and we want congregations of rowdy individuals to be stopped."
The same week, the first of the articles appeared in the City Tribune, in which a picture of a found syringe is placed beside the caption, "Move to ban drinking on the streets to curb city centre vagrancy." We still fail to see the connection implied between syringes and so-called vagrancy.
Well, hey, cheers anyway.
Up here for thinking. Yeah, all right, brother.
What about the yard up there? Water. You can go up there sometime.
Can I fit the drums?
Oh, you can. The old mates.
Oh.
Are you right?
Okay.
For you?
So don't go too hard in it, that's all.
For you, the lad? Okay. Do you want to dance?
All right.
Do you want to dance? Come on, baby. Don't dance, so baby.
Little Legends riding
Do
in.
you want to dance? Do you want to dance the whole night? Come on, baby. Don't dance, so baby. Do you want to dance? No. Do you want to dance? Do you want to dance? Do you want to dance? Do you want to dance the whole night? Come on, baby, do the light, so baby, do you want to dance?
Right, Mike. You're the owner here of the Hungry Grass.
Right, I'm delighted they're gone, you know.
Yeah. What did it mean to you, all these seats?
Well, I mean, it was grief.
Go on, why?
Why? Because we had about half dozen winos here every day of the week.
And what were they doing?
They
Essentially?
were drinking and tapping up, hustling the customers.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not pleasant, you know.
Yeah.
It wasn't pleasant, and they're gone now, and I'm happier they're gone, you know.
Yeah.
I know if they come and fix it up now and straighten it out, at least then it's open again to the public, and we're not going to have.
Do you think it's going to stop the winos coming down here?
Well, no. Well, it maybe not stop them coming down, but it'll stop them sitting. You know.
I didn't get it together there after a bit.
So I mean, there was no like negative hassling or something.
No, there was no violence or anything like that, you know. Unless there was a couple of times there was violence here, but it was between themselves, like, you know.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
over drink and stuff like that, you know.
Right.
Apart from that, they're grand, you know.
Yeah.
But it's the hustling.
Yeah.
When you hustle people, then they get a negative vibe off you.
Yeah.
They don't want to be here.
Yeah.
They don't want to be hustled, so they're not going to come again.
So everyone else sits around there, like people over the pub come up and sit down there. We sit down there. We're all fucking Galwegians. Like.
That's right.
Yeah.
We're all Galwegians. We're not entitled to sit down there. Who is like? So strangers come and sit down. So what?
right.
That doesn't mean that we can't sit down. Like.
Did we ever do anything out of the way, Michael?
Never done nothing. Always nice and polite and practical people.
That's
You know what I
right.
mean?
That's true. That's
Do
true.
you drink in Nuttons?
Not at all.
Do you drink in Nuttons?
Bad, I'd say.
Are you one of the bar
I drank
cowboys?
it when it was old enough.
Yeah.
The old time. Like. Now there's a
Police there.
show of fucking,
Get a
but
shot
now
of
they
the
don't have
police.
their coming
Get a
or
shot
going.
of the police. It's all right. Dive in there. Another city trader asked whether it would now be necessary to remove every park bench in the city and called on the Gardaí, Chamber of Commerce, the Vintners, the Tourist Board and Corporation to band together in an all-out attempt to clean up Galway City.
Tá sé níos cruainis chuine atá Somália mór seo rial ná an daoine nó tháinig isteach. Tá chunig mu sé tráidead was bhí siad fáileige dóhaní agus Gardaí Brandóir ní dúró tadalach.
This is the old guards, as you say, in Morocco.
No, what he's saying is that strangers can beg and the guards won't bother them. But if locals, the old Shanstock, beg, they get hassled. Isn't that what you're saying?
Snet am ará.
Friends of yours, or have you yourself been put away for
I have got locked in the house.
what?
Just put on my hand, just asking a few honest pence.
Asking for a few honest pence.
Yeah.
You were actually sentenced to Loughlin House for.
I was in the Mount Dynfort and then locked in the house. And one for not king of not now.
You were doing nothing more than asking for
No,
money.
well, a friend of my own I knew.
Thanks for spilling the supper drink.
Absurd, isn't it? So where are we going to sit? We'll have to sit in the goddamn sand, won't we? Which is better, anyway.
Holly, would you describe yourself as a vagrant?
No,
Not
Were you ever a vagrant?
no.
When you came to Galway first, you were a vagrant. Come on.
Will you get rid of the camera, please?
No, you're a perfect example of a good-looking vagrant now. We need positive press.
I'm not a good looking.
Get the camera.
So we decided to answer the street traders' allegations and wrote a letter to the Galway Advertiser, which was printed on July the 2nd.
Part of what we said in this letter was, people do cause trouble now and again, but that is in the nature of things. If the people who are complaining about us know anything at all about compassion, we would not complain. It is very easy to say a person is not a person, and so said the Nazis. It is also ironic to find that newcomers come and complain about the apparent lack of hygiene of the so-called vagrants, when they themselves are responsible for flushing down untold amounts of raw sewage into the Corrib River each day.
What do you think?
I think it's horrible because I found it really nice that they were sitting on it. I was wondering, maybe they did it because there were so many people sitting on it who were not allowed to go in the bars. And if that's the reason, I find it really, really awkward.
Yeah.
Because I like this place.
Yeah.
And I thought maybe when they go to put tables and chairs outside, then it's okay. But when they're not doing it, I don't know why they're doing it. Then it's, I think, trying to get this place proper and clean. Well, fuck them.
That's where I fell in love when stars above.
Anyway.
See, it's hard. You go through the mill, you get drunk, you get sober, you travel everywhere you go. You want to see places, you want to see town. I'm finished from traveling now. My days is finished.
For what you've learned, you're...
What I've learned, I said, I pass it on. That's the pleasure of me doing it.
What I was saying to you earlier about drink as a way of life.
Drink to me, I drinks like a fish. Go out into the pubs and slags everyone. That's why they call me the nickname the goat.
The what?
The goat.
The goat.
Yeah. I've been a long time. Thanks to the God.
And you've survived it.
I survived. I think I'll be able to survive it. I hope to spend another few years surviving.
Yet you wouldn't recommend it, would you?
I recommend it to no man. And to no child. I would like to see a young fella putting a drink inside his mouth.
Taking punches, taking
kicks to the brains. I've already had a brain operation here, you can see the back of my head. To release the pressure from the brain.
There was too much pressure in the brain.
What pressure? Why they call me the old living legend.
The gypsy.
The gypsy.
Tommy Power. The gypsy.
A living legend. I'll prove it.
Tommy, I mean, do you feel that you're in need of a house or in need of somewhere to stay?
Accommodation, a roof over your head when you feel like it.
Put it this way, all I want is a room somewhere far away from the cool, clear air.
Just somewhere to come back.
Somewhere to come back to, man.
Somewhere to put your head down.
Yeah, that's all that matters.
And have the drink.
Have a drink and kick up a bit of a racket. I'm going to sleep to that.
We know you're barred because you're a fucking drunk.
This is the Fairgreen Hostel for Homeless Men, run by Galway Social Services.
He's barred, isn't he? Severely barred. Because you're an asshole, all right, hold yourself. Because you don't behave yourself, this is it. This is why you're barred.
Well, I'm barred because of one reason and one reason only.
Because you're an asshole.
Because I'm a fucking drunkard, and that's why.
Really? I thought this place was open for drunkards.
I don't think so. Anymore has changed. I'm barred because of one reason of what I am.
Yeah, but Tommy, often you get violent, you know, I've seen you at it.
Because there's good reasons behind everything, you know.
All right.
And there's bad reasons behind everything, too.
That's right. But I was refused food here one day. Myself and my daughter and my granddaughter. I don't know what goes on. I mean, I don't... Listen now. It's not the staff. Thanks.
Sure enough, Mark.
We'll go and see where he lives, yeah? Let's go and see where you live since they evicted you. Let's go and see where you live. And they haven't treated you too badly. They gave you about 680 blankets, 70,000 sleeping bags, and you're still not satisfied. So it's your fault, isn't it?
It's not really my fault.
It's not really his fault. Yes, it's a you one.
And how do I get out? I have to go around. But I can't climb the wall.
Tommy has been living here for almost a year. He is barred from the nearby shelter, and he does not have anywhere else to live. A born and bred Romany gypsy, Tommy is one of the main targets of the current campaign against so-called vagrants and others. However, he is a genuine vagrant, living and sleeping on the streets for over 20 years now. He left a thriving business back in Cork and went on the roads. Tommy feels that, despite his faults, he is entitled to reasonable shelter. As he says himself, I sleep and I rise with the birds.
If you get them a proper accommodation, look, I'm a Galwegian, I was born and reared in this town. You know, I can't get a flat because I make no because I drink on the streets.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's all right if you have a place to go home every night, to lie down and to be looked after where you haven't, and you have to go down that street. I was often up here at 4 or 5 in the night time, just standing around. No.
And nowhere to go.
Nowhere to go, yes.
Excuse me, young lady.
Take away that camera from me or I'll give the key.
I want you to tell the people of Galway and of Ireland, and do put it on television, that they should be ashamed of themselves to have men sleeping out night after night. To refuse them to get a night's lodging. And they should be ashamed.
So, what I want you to talk about is...
Yeah, go on.
When you and the lads were sleeping in the shed.
They're sleeping out,
yeah.
Sleeping out, look.
Yeah. What happened there?
We got back to our own. The seas went on. What, we're sleeping where?
When you were sleeping out near the Tata Palace, what happened?
Oh, what happened, yeah. Myself and Smitty.
Yeah.
But he's not around.
Dead, is he?
Yeah, he's dead. So, very active. And we talk to the homeless.
That's right.
Why come back and stay here?
There might be one or two who are aggressive.
There might be one or two, yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Don't come back and stay here.
And they bring down the name for the others.
No, they bring down the people.
They bring down the people.
On July the 10th, the City Tribune reported and quoted from our press release.
The statement claimed that innocent people were being punished for the unsocial activities of a small minority, and went on to say that their organization objected to individuals harassing people for money or any other reason. The Alliance said that proposals to ban drinking on the streets and a recent incident in which buskers were arrested and charged with begging were infringements against the freedom of the individual. Itinerant performers and musicians have always been a culturally revered group in our nation. Under the conditions required by the business delegation, Pádraig Ó Cainneara would be arrested, and so would Raftery and Philly.
Tuesday, the 30th of June, the seats have just been removed. A photographer from the City Tribune is present, along with a reporter, a prominent Fine Gael politician, 2 plainclothes detectives, and 1 unidentified person. What are these men doing on the street corner?
I mean, sort of about Ireland generally, going off the subject a bit. I mean, I have been stopped quite a bit busking recently, and I find that quite disturbing because I thought this is a country where the beds came, or the bards, whatever you want to call them. Yeah. You know, but kind of think that's going out the window a bit. You know, the poets and bards are no longer respected people; they're just bums.
Yeah.
We're the bums. Get us out of the streets. We don't belong here.
But I think if you walk through Galway, you'll often find that there are tremendous numbers, especially in the middle of the season.
This is Councillor Angela Lupton, one of the main supporters of the new city bylaws. Recently, Councillor Lupton called for the reintroduction of flogging for what she calls habitual offenders.
With the busking is the fact that they're taking up quite an amount of space on footpaths. This may not happen perhaps with one busker because they're quite niche where they are, but sometimes you have groups in place and they take quite an amount of the space of the narrow path. And I have watched and I have seen young women with their prams getting on the path, but worse still, I have seen old people having to step off the path onto the roads. Now, I think when it gets to a dangerous situation, it's time to speak out.
Well, what's your recommendation in a nutshell?
My recommendation is that we might consider doing as they're doing in some places on the continent, and that is applying a situation where buskers would come to City Hall each day and apply for a licence, and that we would have set areas in the city which we know that the people of the city would accept. For instance, the shopkeepers themselves, some of them have said they find that when they're trying to sell their goods that the noise from busking outside is not very helpful. So I think if we got the shopkeepers together with perhaps some of the people from the art situation who would understand this and decided on set areas in the city, and perhaps that would include the centre city, all right, but that you would only allow a busker here and a busker at another distance, and perhaps at different times in the day you'd have it here one time, but that these people would move on to another place.
They don't know where the best spots are to busk in the day, you know. It's all about coming down whenever you want to, or, you know. It's not a job in a sense, you know. It's good because there's the freedom there to come along and play whenever you want, you know.
In Derry, is there a law against busking? Or
Sorry?
In Derry, is there a permit needed for busking?
No, I never see anyone busking, you know, that's the funny thing about it. I never have. Occasionally, you know, but there's special times, but they don't usually, not like Galway, you know.
Yeah.
They're done, you know. Yeah.
Do you like it anyway? I mean,
I love it.
You don't think it should be regulated or controlled? Or let them off.
Let them off. Let it all. Let it all.
Let it all happen.
Let it all. Let it all.
I have a bus sometimes to survive, and I had children, a child with me at the time, yeah, and they come over and say I can't busk, and I say, well, I have to busk to survive, and they say, well, it's begging, you're not allowed to beg. So I said to the policeman...
What did I tell you about keeping the camera on the person who's talking?
I said to the policeman, he said, what are you working at, or something like that. I said, I work for Jesus. He goes, I don't give a fuck about Jesus. And I said, well, that's the problem.
Yeah, policeman said this.
Yeah. So I said, well, how do you know justice if you don't know your Bible and you don't know about Jesus and you don't care about justice, you know what I mean?
Did they say anything? Did they tell you what you must do?
Yeah, they said, I'm a Garda.
What?
I'm a Garda, and that's it. That's as far as they go. And if you don't get off the streets, we're going to arrest you and put you inside.
So can you go back on the streets again?
Not busking.
Do you find now in your years of busking that you have had any major problems with shopkeepers and that kind of thing?
No.
So you don't see any reason why there should be a law then saying when you should busk and where you should busk?
I don't think it's right that any law should stop any union.
We get moved on because we attract so many people, you know.
Have you done that?
We cover a street fills up with people, you know.
Yeah, so they call it obstructing traffic.
Yeah, and the shops are paying rates and things, and we aren't, you know, so they get a bit uppity about it.
Well, have you ever busked somewhere where you need a permit?
Not that we know of, no.
What do you think of the idea of busking?
Shouldn't have to do that.
Shouldn't have to do that.
I believe so much in street art, public art, free art, cheap art. But
do you think busking should be licensed, James?
No, I don't. I don't think there's any need. I think that
This is James Harold, County Galway Arts Officer.
buskers respect the city and the people, and we should do the same. Respect them, respect their art. I'm totally against any form of control like that.
Yeah,
it's too disrespectful for me. Yeah, I think most people, most buskers are wonderful, most traders are wonderful. It's unnecessary. There's always going to be a few people who are causing trouble, but we have to bear in mind it's only a few, it's only a minority.
The Galway Advertiser made this report during the Arts Festival, in which the so-called crusties gave their own views on the kind of attitudes they have to put up with. A lot of the people here are English refugees. Things are very hard in England, especially towards travellers. Here you get some respect. How does the group react when they hear people say that crusties are beggars? Our lot don't beg, they busk. Galway would be a very sad place if there were no buskers, says Adi. And he denies that hippies are dirty.
Can't get served in pubs, can't get served in off licences. Walk through the door of a restaurant for a crap and get kicked straight out, back out the door.
And this is from people who have never seen your face before?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
And that's the reality of it at the moment?
Yes.
You can't go for a pint today?
Yeah. Well, one pub serves me.
Can we advertise that pub at least?
The Canal Bar.
Yeah.
Fuck, that's the only pub I'm allowed in as well.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good pool table in there.
Yeah, right. Why do you think it is, Gordon?
Because I've got dreadlocks and an offensive smile.
Yeah. Do you find that you've been barred from pubs?
Yeah.
For any reasons?
No reason whatsoever. I'll mention one. I'll mention the name. Taylor's. Mick Taylor's. I've been going in and out of that pub for a year. The last year. And the other day I was barred. Well, he just wouldn't allow me in. Basically because of my appearance. Which is pathetic, really, you know.
Another offensive smile.
Yeah, that's it, you know what I mean?
So tell us what happened on the, was it a Sunday evening when you went up to Setantis?
Yeah, it was. Everyone that was working for Mockness that day, and I was one of the drummers in Mockness, got a free ticket to go to a gig at Setanta as sort of a kind of payment by kind, you know?
Yeah.
And I went there and Speedy just said that because I was an itinerant and stuff, I wasn't allowed to stay in there.
What did he actually say to you?
He actually said that he had reports of us like causing trouble in Monroe's and stuff, and it's total lies, it's total fabrication. I've never sort of like even been pissed in Monroe's, I never even got drunk in there hardly, you know, let alone causing trouble and stuff in there. But nonetheless, the way I look and everything, I'm sure it's to do with that, you know, he's just prejudiced and stuff.
Did he use any word, like, did he say you lot or something? Please.
Huh?
Did he say you lot or what?
Yeah, you lot, tarring everyone with the same brush. It was that way. He called us New Line types and Stonehenge people like the newspaper. He was quoting it in the newspaper.
Yeah. So was there anybody with you when you got, were you actually asked
just
to
my
leave?
friends were there, and I was actually asked to leave, yeah. Just my friends, and they all were totally disgusted, and we left anyway because we just didn't want to spend our money in there, you know, like.
Yeah. Basically, if you're looking anyway alternative, or if you're doing anything alternative, that might be in some way counterculture to what they stand for. But the ironic thing is that what they say they stand for is also the counterculture, you know. So that's where they depend actually on artists and unusual performers and things like that. That's where it all started. But now it's got safe and they've made their money. So now screen out.
Concrete and stuff is getting dumped on us. About 5 tons of concrete slurry dumped around us.
By who?
Dempsey. Guy owns the quarries at Menlo.
Yeah.
And down about 5 lorry loads.
And they were
dumps it all around the caravans, dumps it on me.
Dumps it on you?
Yeah, I went to stop, you know, because he's like dropping it in front of the caravan, so when they had to stop and they just let it off on top of me like.
And were they doing anything with the quarry?
No, not doing nothing, like, you know, it's a common land. Common, it's like it's on the lake.
Yeah.
Belongs to people.
Right.
Well, nobody has Mr. written on their gravestone anyway.
Ah, look at it. Don't worry about them.
Sure you have to be.
No, you have to not worry. I seen the bakers there.
Yes.
And that one was as decent as could be.
Griffin's was it? Right.
If you see children there,
That's right.
she get a whole loaves of bread and give them to the
out.
children.
Them days
And Mrs. McGuire, she was nice.
What, the mother of him?
Yeah.
and street violence.
This is Miles Murphy of Galway Social Services.
But I think the solutions that they talked about, banning drink on the streets and licensing buskers and so on, I think some of that's intrusion on civil liberties. I think they're obviously reacting to the problems that they may be experiencing, but I think they're doing it probably the wrong way.
Well, they're changing the atmosphere, all right, doesn't
The
it?
atmosphere is finished.
Yeah.
And when the atmosphere is gone, it's finished.
Yeah.
It's the same in the pub when the atmosphere is gone. There's no atmosphere in the pub, you might as well go with it.
Yeah. That's right.
There's no atmosphere, there's no atmosphere. It's the same any other place. The atmosphere that really counts.
Yeah.
Yeah, all time. But you know the atmosphere today with them? This stuff.
What's that? Show us again.
Tungsten is a piss wanting, but it's changed.
What they want is everybody indoors. They don't want anybody ever to go outdoors. They want shopping centre with flats so that you live indoors, you come out, you go to the shop and you go back indoors again. They want your number on your door, number in your pocket. They want to know where you are. They don't want you to travel. A man is a nomad, man is a traveller. Everybody know that. The original man, natural man is a traveller. But the Babylon, you see, is a natural progression. That's the opposite. That's technology, which is messing up humanity, isn't it? And so all that comes with that is off the streets, indoors, out your shop, out your door, into the shop, back in again, video, telly. You want to see nature? See it on your video.
Would you put up with it in Ballyfermot?
Well, yes, we do have it in Ballyfermot.
You have what?
People drinking on the streets.
And how do
begging.
What do you think of that?
Well, it's just you get used to it.
Does it annoy you?
No.
It doesn't. Genuinely no.
No.
You're always free to say no.
Exactly. So you're right to say no. You haven't got it.
Now there are problems in this town, but you cannot emphasize problems that are of a minor issue. You take, for instance, the problems of serving underage people drink. Done in this town all the time. Take, for instance, the problem of after-hours drinking, where there are licensing laws which say a certain thing, and then there are privileged people who can keep on serving drink all night. So what this is about is selective persecution. The authorities tend to select those who are weakest in the society. Now that is not to say, the thing I think is that the authorities are guilty by default. They just don't know. But as we were talking, you and I, today about is there a way of educating the authorities or is there not, I tend to think there isn't, because I think they're too entrenched in what they're talking about.
If the Garda Síochána said you cannot drink on the street, we have to walk the streets 24 hours a day. And so they stop that. What else can we do? We've nowhere else to go to. This is what's keeping us away. We don't eat, we just drink because we can't get any food. And we have to keep moving along. I fell by the wayside.
You had different jobs, different skills.
I'm classified as a chief engineer in the merchant navy. Fell by the wayside. Just started drinking.
Galway is now a two-tiered city. From here we see the top tier, the one promoted by the traders of the city, whose concern is so clearly to attract consumers and maintain a so-called respectable image. The tragedy is that human values are being undermined in this drive for economic success. People such as those seen in this video are not market viable, and as such are not deemed worthy of our genuine concern or understanding.
This is social schizophrenia. The problems these people have to endure are not being addressed. More problems arise as a result. The top tier blindly carries on as if nothing was needed except a clearing of the streets by increased law and order. The bottom tier suffers the consequences of this viewpoint.
In April of 1994, Ireland's Minister for Justice, Maura Geoghegan Quinn, introduced the new Public Order Bill, which gives any police officer the authority to make a personal estimation as to whether a person's or group's behaviour constitutes a threat to the public peace and order. The Garda can further arrest and charge persons if they fail to disperse. The Irish Council for Civil Liberties has described the legislation as a grave erosion of civil rights and contends that increased Garda intervention in local communities will result in large-scale public unrest and disorder.
The importance of this video, that will make something, somehow, somewhere, that other people shall realise what street people are.
What street people are?
The best in the world.
And you think it's important that your voice should be heard, yeah?
Kind of, I do.
Has anybody ever asked you before? Before we did?
No, I
No.
I realise I know.
So they just bypass you like?
Bypass me like a dog.
Right. Even though you know the problem better than anybody? Do you feel that you've had your say on this video? Have you had your say?
My say is what I want every street man under the sun. I've often versed this and said it here. To go into one place and one home, which will never work. Because they'll all end up fucking fighting, killing each other.
But the one mistake when they built that place, they should have built a dry house and a wet house.
What do you mean by that?
Well, I'd say if you're drinking, throw you to one house, into the wet house, you had the Holland house. And then in the dry house, they had them in the dry house. But either way, I'm putting it all, they're all at the Holland house.
How would a wet house work, Denny?
They walk out when?
Everyone drunk.
All right. But say you're on the dry, you can go into that dry house. And if you're on the drink, had some kind of an old chalet at the back. That's the biggest mistake when they built that place. They should have built two places.
Built two places?
Yeah. There's plenty of room around that car park.
Yeah.
We are a housing centre, and we will help people to resettle into housing. If there were other kinds of problems that need addressing, we'd hope to refer them to relevant agencies. The problem is that the relevant agencies don't exist.
It's very, very easy to make a bag of bed.
Right.
It takes a hell of a lot of fucking to make a bag very good.
It takes a hell of a lot more action and effort. Right? Okay.
Sergio Leone.
These men are not crime problems. They are health problems. They ought to be able to seek out and should be offered treatment.
Homelessness is just one side of their story, but the disease of alcoholism is the root cause of nearly all of their difficulties.
Almost every one of these men has been in prison for petty offences created by the new Public Order Act.
By the terms of our Constitution, we are a Christian nation. Surely then, our attitude to these problems should be humane and compassionate. The methods used by the authorities, imprisonment, condemnation, and community apathy, are the very opposite to the Christian virtue of cherishing all people equally.
Where do you stay now, Jimmy?
Ballybrit.
Ballybrit. Do you have a house?
Of course I have a house.
Yeah. How would you like being described as a vagrant?
Why me?
Why me?
What's through the years, Sam? I guess, fella.
We the people.
We'll keep the water living.
When I'm moving on a good bit, I'm 55 years of age now. There's a big change since the last time I was talking to you on video. But a lot of it's for the better now. I'm not drinking, thank God for that. And I'm getting grey head from other people, you know.
You getting what?
Grey head from other people. They're more care for me now than I ever was. Drinking is an awful thing for anyone, especially if you're homeless. You're drinking yourself to death. You have nothing to look forward. Do you know what I mean? One night you could have a bed and another night you could be out. You don't know what's going to happen. But when you're sober, you can realise you can do something with your drink pop. You know? You can stay healthy and wise. That's what it's all about. You cop on an awful lot when you're sober. And if Simon can look into a lot to be able to get some kind of project work. I was talking about making flags for the All Ireland. It doesn't matter if you made so many flags, like Galway colours, the Mayo colours, so for each match, and sell them. Then you're going to make money. I could do a couple hours here every day. I making flags. It doesn't matter what colours, and could sell them then, and they could eventually end up having a little shop. Selling like the travelling people had years ago down in the Fairgreen, selling flags and colours. That's how they're going to make money. We won't get nothing sitting on our arse, and that's a good idea.
Would you like milk or sugar?
Milk, please.
Well, Tommy, it used to be cognac or brandy in the morning. What is it now?
Gee.
How long now?
6 years.
6 years off the drink?
6 years off the drink now, yeah.
And how do you feel?
Feel good. See life different.
Because of
that I'm sober, like I see it in a sober manner now. Which before I see it in a pure negative kind of manner, like, you know. Because of the booze, like, you know. New way of life and new way of living.
You have a flat now?
You wouldn't see me here at a cappuccino, would be a bottle of wine in my hand or something.
You have a flat now?
I have a flat now, a place of my own now, yeah. I get help up and down the line, yeah. Miles Murphy and them do me help.
Galway Social Services?
Galway Social Services, that,
Simon,
things like that, you know. I get a good boost, you know, from them. I get a good kick here. I do a bit of visiting to some of the homeless, like, you know.
What do you do?
I do a bit of visiting to some of the homeless, like, you know. Because I was that way myself, like, you know. I don't forget where I came from. But, you know, I have to understand them as well as myself, you know.
And they know that you know.
They know that I know what they're going through, like, you know. I've been there and back again, like, you know.
What would you say is the main advice you give them? Or help?
Well, the main help is just trying. Well, if they're bad enough, I believe they should get hospitalised for a while, you know. It would do them good, you know, for a period of time. And, at the end of my drinking, hospital I had to come into it, like, I had to, yeah, or else I would be dead, you know.
So here you are with beautiful friends and
beautiful women around me.
And life is good?
Life is good.
The day that this town loses contact with this person and persons like him, that's the day that it's doomed, and it's very nearly doomed now, actually.
You're the last man standing.
Babby is dead, Pat's dead, Jerry's dead, Sean the Gypsy's dead, I could go on. Porky and Kilmartin is dead, John Laffey is dead, Frankie Barrett is dead. I could go on all day about the people who are dead. Johnny Mongan is dead.
Tommy Mongan.
Johnny Mongan is dead. Tommy Mongan is dead. Michael Mongan is dead. Babby Stevens is dead. Sean Stevens is dead. John Stevens is dead.
All men under 55.
All
say.
men well under 50. But you see, as much as anything that contributed to these men's death was the wall of intolerance they met in this town.
That's great. Do you think that caused them to drink more and more?
Well, it may not have caused them to drink more, but it caused them to care less about a condition called life, human existence. It led them to care less, and therefore, as John says, become careless.
Well, listen to me.
You know, it led them to sleep under walls that fell down on top of them. It led them to sleep in Bowling Green in the old slaughterhouse place and get murdered, because they became careless. That's very good, John, actually.
Mark, how do you feel since you gave up drinking?
Oh, I feel very much better.
Yeah?
Well, I had a nice little anecdote, right? I met this guard who used to arrest me at every opportunity, right? He used to arrest me for things the likes of him did, not me. And I met him the other day, and I hadn't seen him for about 10 years, right? And he walked up to me and said, Mark? I said, yeah, that's right. He said, my God, he said, I wouldn't know you. He said, you finally saw the light. I said, no, my friend, I finally saw the darkness and I fled from it.
Bring me in and feed me shipwrecks. Hold me close if you can. You can't cast me out, I already did that. I may be vagrant, but no less a man. And I've had enough of your pollution. I've had enough of indifference. I'm sick to death of your hypocrisy, and I've had my fill of your ignorance. So blow away, you mean old bastards. Try and shift me from my town. Ease your gales, oh you're so esters. But it takes a wind greater than you to blow me down. It takes a wind harder than you to knock me to the ground. It takes a wind greater than you to blow me down.
Homeless people are special to God.